Welcome to Saving the Investor with certified financial planner, investment advisor, and insurance professional Alfie, president of Advantage Retirement Group.
Good morning, Southwest Florida. You're listening to Saving the Investor radio show. I am Alfie, Southwest Florida certified financial planner professional. I am here in studio live with, of course, Pastor John Antonucci, and we have a special guest, Tom Siomades. We're going to introduce him in a bit, but you're going to really, he's a very entertaining guy, and he knows his stuff, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, good morning, Southwest Florida. Great to be with you today. And Alfie and Tom are going to dive into some critical topics shaping your financial future. We're going to talk about the new administration and the policy implications moving forward, the trajectory of interest rates and what they might do, how the stock market might finish in 2024, and go ahead and set the stage for 2025. And we'll discuss how to proactively prepare for potential tax changes to help you build a stronger financial future. And one of the ways that you can do that is get a hold of Alfie's Toolkit, which is available to you right now. Inside of Alfie's Toolkit, it will help transform your worries of retirement into confidence. You know, inside this complimentary toolkit is a wide range of materials, such as, will your money last as long as you do? You need to answer that question. Are you paying too much in taxes in retirement? The Social Security Decisions Guide, if you haven't made that decision yet. And will a recession rob your retirement? You need to get a hold of this to simply get it absolutely free. Call the operator and ask for it, or text the word KIT, K-I-T, to 239-747-1077. That's 239-747-1077. And Alfie, we're about probably 65 or so days until January 20th, the installation of President Donald Trump. And what do you see as far as what's happening in the market? Seems to be up, down. Pretty much Volatility is the norm in the market, as we always talk about.
Well, I see Christmas early this year. I'm still seeing...
Well, Merry Christmas.
No, it's I'm going to have Tom talk about that. So Tom Seymour, he's a good friend of mine. He's Chief Investment Officer at AE Wealth. We use them for our portfolio management. And, you know, I want Tom to talk a little bit about himself. He's a humble guy, very humble guy, even though he went to West Point. And but I want, are you a humble guy or like a middle of the road type of guy, Jeff?
I was raised middle class, so
you're another middle classer.
I'm just middle class with a neighborhood with great lawns. But yeah, I'm pretty chill.
Got a great thumb, don't you, Tom?
That's fantastic.
I wouldn't change a thing if I could. So
that's great. And your son is
yeah, he's a junior. He's enjoying the
at West Point.
Yeah, he's enjoying the sights and sounds of the military academy. But I'm always reminded of what Grant said. You know, you get more and more fond of the place the longer you're out of there. So he's not really enjoying it. I mean, I have fond memories now, but I think the current experience is probably, it's a grind. You know, it's 4 years of nonstop, but he's doing okay.
And then what's his long-term goal there?
He's been slotted to go infantry like me, so we'll see what happens. That's what he's thinking about doing, and you know, he's 20 years old, so
he goes in as an officer.
Right. Well, what did we know? What did we know when we were 20? Right. I mean, you know, I thought I was going to spend 35 years in the Army and be a general, and you know, I didn't, and I ended up going into finance. So
yeah,
things change, but. Right now, he's focused on just getting through school and getting on with the early part of his military career, and we see where it takes him.
Following Papa.
We'd be remiss to say that Army is 9-0 this year. Their football team.
Yeah, a big game.
My team, Notre Dame, is 9-1
tonight. Right, Saturday night. We're playing in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, what a year! I mean, they're ranked for the first time in a long time.
Listen, let's be humble here. It's Army. I don't think we have the kind of recruiting reach that Notre Dame has, and. You know, at the end of the day, it'll be great look at what they did to Navy. I mean, they stomped Navy, and, you know, we're probably on par with them. So it's interesting. It'll be, but it's good. You know what? It's good exposure.
Yeah.
It's good exposure, you know.
You think recruiting is going to go up with now Trump in as president?
I think there's going to be some changes there. I think there was a lot of time devoted to probably non-mission. I'll put it as politely as I can. Non-mission essential type teachings at the school. So
saying woke.
Well, you said it, but you know, we need to focus on war fighting, and I think that's going to be you know, a staple going forward, I believe.
Yep, and That sounds good. You're listening to Saving the Investor, and we have Tom Siomades here all the way from Topeka, Kansas, and he's really, West Point grad. He builds a lot of the portfolios that we deal with, and we're going to be asking him about what he sees with this administration, this new administration that's coming in for 2025. Do you see a big change like on the tax policy? Do you see a big change on really regulations? I think that's going to be a big change.
Yeah, I think a big concern going into the election and what the turnout was going to be was whether you were going to see a continuation of the Trump tax cuts, which were going to expire in 2025. So I think, the fact that now the Republicans are going to control the Senate along with the presidency and Congress, right? You're pretty much going to see that continue. And I don't know whether it's going to be a continuation or permanent. So that's going to be huge. You've had a lot of regulations and a lot of just, the heavy thumb of government. So I think a lot of that stuff is going to get, pushed aside. So I'm encouraged that we're going to have less nonsense and a little more of a free enterprise type environment. So I think it's positive from that standpoint. It's just a question of, if you guys remember the first time Trump was president, how much sand they kept throwing in the gears, between Boehner and what was that guy's name from Wisconsin, Paul,
Paul Ryan.
Yeah, Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
It's like the never Trumpers and the people that couldn't believe that he won. The guy got a huge mandate, right? I mean, there's no denying who the winner was. It was fast. It was decisive.
You can see that around the world, too.
And people expect action on that. So we'll have to see. But I think, the tax thing is going to be first off. Get that done.
You think the corporate tax rate is going to go down to 15?
You know what? The sky's the limit at this point. Actually, the basement's the limit, right? So let's put it that way. I hope so. I mean, we need to be more competitive. Raising taxes is not a good thing if you're on the world stage.
Or charging for unrealized cap gains. You're listening to Saving the Investor, and we're going to talk a lot more about what we see in different sectors that could be good for 2025. There's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah, you want to position yourself now before 2025. And if you haven't had a portfolio review, this is the time to come in and sit down with Alfie in Fort Myers and Naples. He has 2 beautiful offices. And he has put together what's called a retirement simulator process that will be a deep dive into your current portfolio to see what's really going on. It's going to expose all the hidden fees that could be eating up your returns. He's going to make sure that you're allocated properly, diversified correctly, that you're rebalanced to the positions that you want to be in. And he's going to also assess your risk to make sure that you're not getting undue risk for the amount of returns that you're getting each and every year. And listen, he can only handle 9 people this week. You have to be one of the first 9 callers right now. Pick up your phone. Don't hesitate. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait till the end of the broadcast. Get yourself positioned with Southwest Florida's premier certified financial planner professional with 40 years experience. And he's a CFP, but he's also a fiduciary, which means his responsibility is to you. Call the operator or text the word VISIT, V-I-S-I-T, to 239-747-1077. Pick up the phone right now. Make an appointment so that you are positioned for what's going to take place in 2025. And we all believe it's going to be really rocking and rolling, don't you think?
I think so. Tom, you think a recession is in the horizon, or you think that's out the door?
I don't think we're in store for a recession at this point. I think, if you look at sort of presidential cycles, the third year is usually the best one, the fourth year is the second best, and then the worst one is the second year, because there's a lot of euphoria, right, that carries over from an election to the first year.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a question of how much stuff can get done in that first year, and then you'll start seeing, maybe the economy starts turning. But if we land this plane,
could be good.
It could be real good.
Could be good, and have less regulations. Trump is definitely pro-business. I think his cabinets are going to, I don't think all of them are going to get in, but majority of them are going to get in. I think it's pro-business, and these are people that they're not guys that dress up as girls. These are men and women that are actually they have talent. They're lawyers, they're business owners, they're billionaires, and then you have Elon Musk. Just blows me away at how they really gelled. Here's a Democrat that really came all the way over. So you're listening to Saving the Investor. We have a lot to talk about. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Saving the Investor with certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend. Alfie is Southwest Florida's #1 CFP, and his book is always in high demand. I just saw a bunch of copies that just came in, stacked up on his desk, and Alfie's offering a complimentary book to you today. A complimentary copy is waiting. To claim your book, all you have to do is call the operator and ask for it, or text the word book, BOOK, to 239-747-1077. Alfie's book is your guide to a fulfilling retirement. You don't want to miss out on valuable insights, including many, many stories about investors that Alfie has helped save over his career. That's why he named this broadcast Saving the Investor, to save you from the pitfalls, the schemes, the traps of Wall Street. Claim your copy right now. Call the operator, ask for it, or text the word book to 239-747-1077.
Thank you, John. And earlier we were talking, guys, about the cabinet members that Trump has so far selected. Now they have to get appointed and all that other good stuff. But these are some powerful, powerful people. These are people that really have business background, military background, communication background. There are a lot of entrepreneurs. You also have the probably some billionaires in there, and so this is probably one of the cabinets, Tom and John, that no one has ever seen before. This dynamic. So
sort of like a dream team, isn't it?
It is like the dream team. So what do you think comes from having that kind of experience, that kind of diversity?
Yeah, so I think what's interesting about this collection of people that's coming in is you're sort of bursting the bubble of like the government sort of group think and group speak, right? These people are from the outside. They have different ideas, and I think we're at a time where you kind of need new ideas. We've been doing the same old stuff, and look where we are. We're $35 trillion plus in debt.
Yeah.
We've got all kinds of nonsense going on overseas. The country's in a lot of ways, socially broken. It's frustrating, right? So you can't just keep applying the same silly solutions that have gotten us to this place. So now things are going to change, right? Now, importantly to think about this is that, if you don't have a different perspective, right? Isn't that the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And we keep doubling down on that. So I think it's fantastic that we're going to have people that are going to provide you a different perspective. Now, granted, there's people that are entrenched that don't want to see change. And why? You have to ask yourself the question, like, why do you want to see things go the way they are? Someone's making money, and they don't want to lose their, they don't want to lose their gravy train. But for the betterment of the country, I mean, having a stronger economy, having a more efficient government, having a secure border, having it peaceful worldwide, why would anybody be against that? That's and I think these people that are coming in from the outside are looking at it and saying, what part of that do you not like?
Yeah.
So,
well, it's almost like, what part of a boy in a girl's bathroom don't you like? Everything about it. It's not right.
Right.
There's things that aren't right that needs to be fixed, and I think it's definitely gonna be fixed. So this is that's going to be a good thing. Now, what sectors do you think are going to really take hold of a different administration? We have it seems like excitement. You got before we talk about sectors, you have all these athletes now doing the Trump dance. What's that about? I think it's something. I personally think people are saying, you know what, having Trump is okay. Where before, if you like Trump, you couldn't say anything. I think people, like you said, sick and tired of being sick and tired. I think people are sick and tired of hiding their feelings and the way they think, because if you were a Democrat and you said something like, hey, I don't think a guy should be in a girl's bathroom, I don't think a guy should play girls' sports. If you said that, you were a racist, right? That's going out the window. You look at Joe and Mika going to visit Trump, right? That's something saying, like, they've been called him every name in the book,
right,
for the last 7 years or so. So things are changing, and I think if nothing else, it's going to unite the country. And the ones that aren't changing are the ones that's going to be left out in left field, but it's going to be draw more and more people in. So getting back to the original question, I saw the Trump dance. You did a pretty good job on it today, Tom. So, but talk about sectors that you think could be good.
So real quick on the Trump dance, it's interesting because I heard people talking about how, oh well, everyone was complaining when people were taking a knee during years back. Remember that in the NFL? And I thought about that, right? And I thought about it myself, like, think about what the difference was. You were taking a knee against something, and and you were just ticking people off, right? The Trump dance, I don't know anybody could look at that and not be happy. Like that's a celebration versus some sort of like dour, depressed, I'm going to take a knee because of whatever issues I have.
Yeah.
So one is for something and the other one was against something. So I don't see that parallel. But as far as sectors go, look, let's talk about some of the more obvious ones, right? The military and anything to do with the military, whether it be aerospace, and we're going to build that back up because we've been giving away our munitions and all our stuff to Ukraine. That needs to stop, and we need to build up our own. People are talking about, we don't have the ammo and we don't have the equipment or the manpower to sustain more than a week's worth of fight against the Chinese. That's really our biggest adversary. It isn't the Russians in Ukraine or even, the Iranians. It's really the Chinese.
Because their military is stacked.
Yeah, they just, they don't care. They don't care about their people. They're just, the same way the Soviets didn't care about their people, right? They're just like, at the expense of their society, they're willing to build up their military. We have to find a way to make sure that they don't ever get it in the back of their head that they can actually get away with something. Right? And you get tougher on that stuff, but that's not necessarily a sector you can invest in. But you look at things like energy, for example. I've been a big proponent of the fact that the reason we have all this inflation, energy is a huge cost of the production of anything in our society. When you raise that cost, and if I'm a manufacturer or I'm a business, I'm not going to lower my cost until I'm confident that the price of energy is going to come down and stay down. Right? So that's why, in my opinion, inflation has remained as elevated as it has. So energy production is going to be a big one. Home ownership. We keep complaining about how young people can't get a home. That was one of the big things in the election. You need to build more homes, right? And all of that.
And stop these big corporations like BlackRock coming in.
Right. And also, but you don't have the place to build the homes because there's all kinds of environmental and all kinds of regulations in place. Like, there's this little, one-legged bird in the Everglades that no one ever sees, but we can't build a house some of this ridiculousness needs to be.
There's one, isn't there, like a frog? Has
he got one leg?
No, I don't know what it is, but it's a frog that is the endangered species, and supposedly Trump's going to get rid of that. That's going to jack, building these homes faster.
So, yeah, it's things like that. So you look at housing, for example. You look at defense. You look at energy. The people that are going to
aerospace.
It's going to be great, right? So from that standpoint, I think those are the places versus where we've been, right? Windmill makers and energy, But the other thing that's interesting, I think, is a big thing is think about this. We got all this AI stuff coming down. It requires a lot of power. Where are we going to get that power? We haven't built a refinery in this country since the 70s. It's going to have to be nuclear, right? And we're going to have to get past the fact that people have this boogeyman vision of nuclear. Like the minute you turn on the switch, a state blows up because the reactor melted. They're much safer now. And that's well, yeah, but that was 50 years ago, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, listen, I'm sure we've advanced that technology. So if it's safe, and that's probably the most renewable source of energy that we have.
Yeah, well, Alfie talks about a subject that you need to address all the time, and that is there is a ticking time bomb, whether you want to think about it or not. Whatever you've amassed in your portfolio, that amount isn't really what you're going to be able to keep because when you withdraw it, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. And Alfie has put together a plan that addresses uncertainties and will instill confidence in your financial future. As a certified financial planner professional and a fiduciary, someone who's dedicated to your plan and your strategy, Alfie's tax map strives to help you achieve 3 key goals. Number 1, what if Alfie can lower your tax bracket? What is that going to do? It's going to put more money back in your pocket. He's going to protect your money when taxes do rise because he has plans and programs that can shelter your income, and he can create a tax-free income. Imagine that, a tax-free income. But you need to be one of the first 9 callers right now. Alfie's offering it absolutely free. Just call the operator and ask for his tax map, or simply text the word tax, T-A-X, to 239-747-1077. Listen, that's 239-747-1077. Don't hesitate. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait to the end of the broadcast. I know it's exciting having Tom here today, and we're going to talk more with him in just a moment. But call or text now. Text the word tax to 239-747-1077. The time to minimize future taxes and generate tax-free income is right now. There's no better time. Call or text the word tax, 239-747-1077. We want you to stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more Saving the Investor radio broadcast right here on 92.5 Fox News. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Saving the Investor. You're listening to Alfie Townsend, Southwest Florida Certified Financial Planner Professional, here with Pastor John Antonucci and our special guest, Tom Siomades from Kansas. And, Tom, we've been talking about different, off the air, about different investments that we use here at the Advanced Retirement Group. And, diversification, a lot of people think that they're diversified because they have the S&P 500 with Vanguard, and they have the S&P 500 with, let's just say T. Rowe Price. It's the same companies, the same everything, and they're not as diversified as they think. Explain what true diversification is and why it's important, if you would.
Sure. So the way I look at diversification is, think about it as same way you look at your kids, right? You love them all, but some are more your favorite than others, right? So the way I look at it is, there's always one of my kids that's doing something that I'm unhappy with, right? And that's kind of the way diversification should be. You should just having 5 things in your portfolio doesn't matter, right? It's how those 5 things interact together. So my thought is that you should always have something in your portfolio that you genuinely hate, right? Because when things go bad with the other parts of your portfolio, this is the part that's going to step up and sort of buoy it back up for you. So case in point, right? I mean, there are probably investments that aren't really super popular right now, but when you've got a stock market that's ripping and, a half a dozen stocks are responsible for most of the returns, how far are we from those things stumbling? And then, you suffer a massive hit and you're going to say, well, I owned 6 of the Magnificent 7, okay, versus owning 2, right, or NVIDIA. But you're still owning the stock market, right? So when the stock market misbehaves, you're going to get hammered. So you need to have alternatives in your portfolio, not just bonds and stocks, but other things, right, that like, for example, you just mentioned off air before we went on, buffered notes, right? If you're concerned about the market going down and you want to cap your downside, there's an opportunity there, right? I mean, yes, you're giving up some upside, but at least you're going to, protect yourself a little bit on the downside. That's a way to sort of take some of the volatility out of your portfolio. And it's real easy when things are going well to just kind of push your chips to the middle and sit back. But to me, it's like when times are going well, that's the times when you need to start thinking about, like, what are things that are beat up? What are things that I can, kind of add to my portfolio?
Yeah.
Can I rebalance? And, everyone's real cocky when they're winning, but you don't really learn anything when you win. You learn when you lose, right? And you don't want to learn that lesson with your finances.
No, I agree. And, the buffer, they have some real good products right now with like the buffer ETFs, where you might make only 15, maybe 12 to 15% of the up of the S&P, but you're protecting 20, 25% down of the S&P. And remember, if the S&P goes down 20%, you got to make over 30% just to get back to where you were. So if you can eliminate how far down it goes, that's a win-win. You don't have to make as much to get up to where you, even if it did have a cap on it. So these are things people need to think about. We do that here. Also, there's like a structured note. We do a lot of that here. And the structured notes, they're paying like 8% right now. Close to 8% is if you're looking for income. They say out of a portfolio, what's the rule of thumb out of a portfolio, right? That you don't want to take out.
4%.
About 4%, right? They always say that 4%. That goes back to when I first started, in this thing. So is it still 4%?
Well, I mean, just like anything, it's probably a little bit higher just because of the way markets perform. But, just, hey, you're better off being conservative, right?
Yep.
And you don't want to outlive your money. So I'd say 4%, it's still a good yardstick.
And so, a buffer note paying 8% right now with a 30% protection of the S&P. So as long as the S&P or NASDAQ doesn't go below 30% from when you get in, you're going to get your 8% income. And that's what a lot of people, what I like about it, Tom, is you can take that income from that and let your other money sit there and grow. And it's a little bit more risk than your bond portfolio. It's a risk of about a 39-40 versus a 24. But back, what was it, 22, that the bond portfolios got pounded with the 60-40 portfolio lost a lot.
Yeah, what I would say for folks, there's a chart I use in my presentation that basically shows the distribution of the S&P 500, for example, over like the last 75 years. And there's only 4 instances where it's been down more than 20% in 1 year.
And this is 40 years.
It's like 50.
50 years.
So you're talking about a 76% win rate when it's positive, and only 4, like out of 75. Well, it was like 75 years, I believe. It was 4 out of 75 times. So 71 times you didn't lose more than 20%.
Yeah.
I mean, you did lose some. There might have been years where you lost 5 or 6, whatever. But that would the structured note would cover 99. Or the preferred ETFs would cover 99.9% of that, right? But we're so fixated on the potential of losing the 40, we forget, right? And to your point earlier, when you're saying if you're going to get 8% out of a structured note and you're only going to take out 4, why not just bank it? Times are good, right? And you should be just building it up as you can. If you're not taking out the 4, use the 4 that you get from the 8.
Dollar cost average, or you
put the other 8 back in growth and keep that going. Wow. And I mean, all that's doing is adding years to your portfolio down the road, or if not you outliving it, but leaving it for your kids or whoever else.
When you say outliving it, there's a lot of times people come in and we'll talk about the strategies. John's son David and our team will talk about the strategies that we use here, and a lot of times they'll say, why didn't my advisor talk about this? Why didn't my advisor show me this? And with being involved with the company that you're involved with, what they do best is that they keep you informed. They keep the advisors informed. They have about really 20 different things a year you can go to if you wanted to, and we go to about half of them to learn about new things, new speakers, and new ideas that's out there that other people aren't talking about because they don't know about it. So I always say to those people, sometimes you've outgrown your advisor, and you might have been with this advisor for years and years when you were just starting out. Now you have a few $1 million in your account, and they haven't really grown. It just got you at a young age, and it built up, but they didn't really. It could have been a lot more than that if you had someone that really stays up with the thing. So if you feel like you outgrown your advisor or outgrown your CPA, give us a call, and then we'll go through everything. We'll put your whole portfolio through what we call the retirement simulator, and it will look at your taxes. It will look at what's really going on inside your portfolio if you're owning the things that you should be owning. So it's a good test for you to really let us look at everything and go through it.
Yeah, Tom said it earlier. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And if you haven't been getting the change that you need, maybe you've outgrown your advisor. Maybe just allow Alfie to be a second pair of eyes. Somebody with 40 years experience as a certified financial planner professional and a fiduciary, which means his responsibility is not to the products or services that he offers here through the Advantage Retirement Group. It's to you, the client, the investor. Why don't you come in? Listen, he can only handle 9 people this week, so you have to be one of the first 9 callers. Pick up the phone, call the operator, visit with Alfie in Fort Myers or Naples, or simply text the word VISIT, V-I-S-I-T, to 239-747-1077. Be one of the first 9 callers, and you're going to get what's called a retirement simulator process. This is a deep computer program that's going to take your portfolio, and Alfie's going to take you back 5 years. You're going to go back 5 years to see how yours performed next to his portfolio that he puts together for you, and go back 5 years. And you're going to see right on a computer screen, a big 70-inch screen, exactly the difference between his plan and your plan. And listen, if you don't have an income plan, what are you waiting for? This is the most opportune time to maximize your investment strategy. And the horizon looks bright in the future with President Trump coming in 2025. You need to position yourself now. Get the retirement simulator process, get diversified, get allocated. Make sure you're not taking undue risk for the amount of return that you're getting. Let Alfie expose all the hidden fees that could be eating up your returns each and every year. Let him do a risk assessment on you so that you can know exactly what your risk potentials are. And why not meet with him this week? Be one of the first 9 callers right now. Don't hesitate. Don't wait to the end of the broadcast. Pick up the phone, call the operator, or text the word visit 239-747-1077.
You know, John, I was just thinking about this while you were talking. There's, I can't tell you how many opportunities that I think our listeners have right now, because before the election, I was thinking, what if she wins?
Right.
Okay, because everybody that came in, I never had that scarcity mode that I heard for 41 years of doing this. I never had so much fear in people's, what are we going to do with our portfolios? If she gets in, our country can't afford another 4 years of this. So this is a blessing as a certified financial planner professional, as an advisor, that, we have, getting rid of that insanity. We have Sandy back in office, because the things that were happening, I don't know how much I could have, talk to our clients and say, listen, it's going to be okay. And that's what I was doing for 4 years. It's going to be okay, because we will make changes.
Well, you put election protections in.
We had election protection, and we were making changes for our clients just in case of this. But now I tell our clients, the ones that were in the concern mode, is now we're in the go mode right now, because we have opportunity, I think, over the next 4 years and hopefully beyond to bring down that debt a little bit with Elon Musk and Vivek to really slash some of that, and then to have some growth oriented, lowering taxes, for corporations and more pro business. I think this is an opportunity for people to really get on board and say, okay, I got to take that scarcity mode that I've had for the last 4 years and go into growth mode. So if you haven't had everything checked out, this is the time. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Saving the Investor. This is your last opportunity to grab a hold of Alfie's book this week. It's always in high demand, and Alfie is offering it again to you. A complimentary copy of his book awaits you. To claim your book, simply call the operator and ask for it, or text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 239-747-1077. Alfie's book is your guide to a fulfilling retirement. You don't want to miss out on the valuable insights, including many, many stories about investors that he's helped save over the years. 40-year career as a certified financial planner professional. He's going to save you from the pitfalls, the traps, the schemes of Wall Street. Pick up your phone right now. Claim your copy. Get it while you can. Get it right now. 239-747-1077, or text the word book to that number.
Thanks, John. And so we're really coming to the end of 2024, Tom. And again, if you just joined us, we have Tom Siomades. He's a CFA, chartered financial analyst. He builds portfolios, and he knows what he's doing. West Point grad. Good friend of Tom, and so he's here. We have an event that we're doing together. So he's in town, so we have him on the radio, and anytime he's in town, I want to bring him in studio. So, Tom, we have 2024 that's coming to an end, and we also have 2025 just starting. What risks do they have that they should look out for at this time?
Yeah, I would worry right now if your portfolio sort of run ahead of itself, right? And I think for me, like we were talking about in the earlier segment, right? We talked about how it's easy to just sit back and keep winning, right? So kind of my PSA for you as an investor is, okay, so we're living in 2024, USA of America, right? best time in history to be alive. You've won the jackpot because you've got some assets in your retirement, hopefully. You've got a fantastic team here with Alfie and his crew. There's all kinds of things that are possible now that weren't possible a few years ago, right? Think about it. I was driving by a bank and they had give us $100,000 and we'll give you 0.25% on your CD. Interest rates are back. The stock market's doing well. There's all sorts of different forms of sources of return, right?
Yep.
And if you're just sitting here and you've seen your 50-50 portfolio grow to 70-30, that's a huge risk, right? Because if you have a pullback of some sort or repricing, you're going to get whacked, right? And why not rebalance while you can and get back to your your current risk profile is what I would say. Yeah. So that's a number one thing you can do is Alfie and his team are here to talk to you guys, and your responsibility, really, you do have a responsibility in this. Don't just think you're going to walk in and you're going to tell Alfie, do this for me. This is a two-way street. You need to articulate what your goals and what your ambitions are, right, for your portfolio and how you want to live your life. And then Alfie and his team put that into motion for you. But you need to continue to communicate. So then when the market goes sideways, you're not sitting there looking, up at the sky wondering why, something just fell out of the sky and hit you on the head. What happens at that point is you pick up the phone and you call up Alfie and you say, hey, am I still on track to meet my goals? And hopefully if you have a sound financial plan, your emotions don't get the best of you. And you also have a team behind you that says, hey, hold on a second. I know you're emotional right now, but we created this plan when we knew what we were going to do. And things, the old saying about, Mike Tyson said, you always got a plan until somebody punches you in the face. Well, you're going to get punched in the face. That's the way markets are. It happens. But you just got to make sure that you're prepared for a plan for getting punched in the face. I think a lot of people think, well, I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and they walk away from it. And then they wonder why 3 years from now, their portfolio is not behaving the way they want it to do, or they're overly concentrated and they're like, holy cow. So those are my concerns, right, as we close out the year. More near term, I'm concerned not so much about the economy. I'm concerned more about geopolitical stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on overseas that it feels like it's kind of,
brewing.
Yeah, it's starting to get beyond the simmer at this point, and it needs to stop because we don't need to be involved with Iran or Russia or China. Those things need to be sort of settled down. So I think geopolitical stuff can have an outsized effect on, and especially like, for example, if Israel, I don't know if people realize this, but Iran exports right now 3% of the world's oil. If Israel were to attack its oil infrastructure, you might think 3% is not a big deal, but it would jack oil from the $70 we're at now to probably $150, and that could be very disastrous. So
Joe asked them not to.
Well, yeah, he asked a lot of things, but listen, at the end of the day, that's my biggest concern right now for the end of 24 and beginning of 25, until this administration gets in. The new administration is some sort of geopolitical shock. But I would look at rebalancing my portfolio. It's always a good idea to just get back to your basics.
No, that's wisdom right there. You're listening to Saving the Investor, and if you haven't really had your portfolio checked out, we do that here at the Advanced Retirement Group. We'll let you know if you're in a 50-50, a 70 equity, 30 bond portfolio. We'll let you know what's going on inside your portfolio. In addition to that, you're going to know what your fees are. A lot of people, they come in, they say, I don't pay any fees to my advisor. I say, well, how does your advisor keep the lights on and pay his employees? There always is a fee. And I tell you, we have a fee, but you're going to see our fee. That's the difference. You're going to know what you're paying us. Whereas, if you're not seeing your fee, that means it's coming out of your returns from your funds that you're holding. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just don't want to pay, a lot of times people come in, Tom and John, and I tell this story that I tell them, you're investing like your grandkid. What do you mean I'm investing like my grandkid? Because anybody can get this. You could have $100 and get the same fund that you have right there. I said, what we try to do, and I look at the same thing. I like to have things that other people can't get. So that's what you want. You want portfolios that the institutional investors are getting. That's what you want. You don't want retail. You want institutional investing. So there's a lot to go. It's just a whole lot managed better and a whole lot different than just a retail account. So if you don't really know what's going on inside your portfolio, give us a call. Let us dive deep in there. And, we have, like Tom said, we're coming to the end of 2024, and 2025 is right around the corner. We're going to have a new administration. It should be something that could be pro-growth. So let's get you on the right track. Tom, again, thank you for coming today and doing this. And I want to ask you any leaving parts that you didn't really talk about that you'd like to say?
Yeah, one thing that we didn't kind of get into specifically, and I'm gonna try. I know we don't have a lot of time, but briefly, it's like this government spending, and one of the reasons why you're seeing interest rates remain stubbornly high, despite the fact that the Fed is cutting, is the market doesn't believe that the government can get its spending under control, and for us to carry around $35 trillion of debt. People want to get paid for that. So that's why you're not seeing longer term interest rates. And, when you hear things come down, when you hear things like the Pentagon can't find $824 billion, I mean, let's find it before we can cut it, right? I mean, that's kind of seems to me like you don't know where things are going. So things are out of control. So I think one of the things that you're going to have to see is some government spending come down, right? And that'll hopefully lower longer-term interest rates, because people, again, it's interest rates are the same way with debt, the way I talked about gas and businesses, right, and energy and businesses. You want to make sure that that debt doesn't continue to get out of control before you're willing to commit money for longer periods. And so, otherwise you're going to ask for a higher rate, right? And that's kind of where we are. So we need to get that spending under control. And I'd love to hear for once. I mean, we keep saying about all these people keep saying that, it's not the income that the government, we don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. Well, for once, let's test that theory.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great to have you today, Tom. Great show, great information. Listen, you need to sit down with Alfie before the end of the year. Take the opportunity right now to call the operator, 239-747-1077. Make an appointment in Fort Myers or Naples, or you can text the word VISIT, VISIT, to 239-747-1077. You owe it to yourself to position yourself for the end of 24 and start 25 right, on the right foot, with an income strategy and a plan with certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend.
Thank you, guys. It's a great show. I love having diversity on the show. Besides just John and I, we have guests, and this is definitely a special guest, so we appreciate you coming in there, Tom. And I hope you learned a lot from this. It's important. We have, like we talked about, new administration coming. We have a lot of opportunities out there, and this is the time to get everything checked out of what's going on inside your portfolio and see if we can put you in a better position to take advantage of 2025. That's what it's all about. I don't know if you've ever seen our TV show. It's called Saving the Investors. It's on NBC2 right after Meet the Press. 11 o'clock, 11 to 11:30 every Sunday morning. And, of course, here we've been on well over 10 years now on 92.5, and Jake the Millennial is our producer of the show, and he does a great job, and we thank you for that, and we thank you for listening. And we have Thanksgiving next week. I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you. Be blessed.